Hello, and welcome to the Pricing for the Planet podcast. This is a special episode for me because a couple of weeks ago, I was with Rija and we did a podcast episode. And that was kind of tough for me because, I'm used to being this side of the interview and I was on the other side. So it's kind of like a revenge time for me. Reza, thank you so much for being here with us. In this podcast, we like to start from the end. So I
Mm.
like to ask this question first, like what would be the key takeaway you would like the audience to remember from this podcast?
That's. I love this question first.
It's a tricky question and I like to start with
No, I
the
mean,
tricky question.
it's a good question. The first thing I would love people to understand and do after this episode is we can all make a difference when it comes to the sustainable transformation of our world. And it's not a matter of size; it's just a matter of doing. And everything we do is making a difference. So I will start with that. I would say if people can understand that, that would be amazing. And I think I would stop with this actually. That would be a great thing, first and foremost.
That's perfect. And again, for the audience, I'm super excited because I really admire Ridha journey and path around sustainability. So I really wanted to make this podcast episode with him. So again, huge thank you. Would you mind, Ridha, maybe explaining your path and what you are doing now?
Yeah. So not starting by the end this time. So I'm
No.
ready now. So I come from a communication background. So I started my professional journey at Karat, part of Dentsu today. So media agency. Working more on a strategic planning side, so business a little bit, and then strategic planning. So comms planning, consumer insights, and all of that. What I wanted to do when I was in business school was to work in advertising. So I always say I was groomed by advertising. My dad was making us play game in terms of can you recognize that ad on TV? So I yeah. So I didn't tell you that, right?
No.
So that's why after 4 years at Carrot, I joined a creative agency called Select New York. By the time it was the name of the group, now Select World. So I worked for the company as a strategic planner for 4 years as well, and then I joined Google because I'm a millennial, a 40-year-old dad of two boys. And at that time, I was like, I need to work in digital. And I managed to enter the amazing world of Google, where I spent 5 years, 4 years on creative innovation at Europe and global level, and then 1 year on YouTube specifically, more on the French market. And then after that, I worked at a scale up called Shadow that is doing cloud computing. A year and a half at Shadow VP brand, and then happened the shift in my head, and I decided to use my skills for more for a greater purpose, if I can say it that way. And I think everyone has a different purpose. And for me, the purpose I wanted to purchase was creating a better world for my kids. That was the starting point of my new journey. And for that, I wanted to work on creating a more sustainable world. So that's why I created We Don't Need Roads. I will tell you more about that afterwards, but I created We Don't Need Roads with some friends. And I've been there since 4 years now.
I think your journey is so inspiring for one simple reason because we get a lot of questions, especially young people saying, what do I need to study? What is the right path to work in sustainability?
Mm.
And I think you are the perfect example that you can start in communication. Everybody might think like, okay, there is no way there is sustainability around this space. While you are all wrong, and I think you are the perfect example of that. So I think that's so inspiring. So
You know,
yeah, I mean,
that's funny.
oh,
Just
sorry, good.
a quick thing on that. What's maybe interesting to know is when I before launching We Don't Need Roads, I had this imposter syndrome, being like, yeah, I come from communication, and what can I actually bring? There's no need for someone like me in the sustainable transformation journey. Um, And what I did was a training, Harvard Business School. So it's online. It's quite accessible. And the reason why it took the imposter syndrome away from me is that the class that was about sustainable business strategy, that was the name of the class, sustainable business strategy, 80% of the class was around purpose-driven companies. And I was like, hey, I come from communication. I've been writing purpose for like the past 10 years. That's kind of my job. So I felt like there was a connection and there was something I could bring to the mix. And the truth is, there is always something you can bring to the mix, even though, and we're probably going to talk about that afterwards, the we are getting to a level of maturity and understanding of the topic where expertise needs to be a bit more, you know, um, higher, let's say, more advanced. But that doesn't mean that you should have an imposter syndrome. I think everyone can actually come and join and help, especially as it to be cross functions, cross society. So everyone has a potential to help.
Amazing. And maybe if you can kind of deep dive on We Don't Read Roads, because I think, I suggest to the audience to go check the website. I love the website and I love your tagline: turn your sustainable transition into action.
Yeah.
It's, I think, it's a great summary of what we have to do. It's like no bullshit, just do something. We can spend years thinking about the perfect world. We will never figure that out, but you can start where you are. So yeah, I would love to hear more about We Don't Need Roads.
I will start with just what you said and jumping on the reason why we are called We Don't Need Roads.
Yeah.
So it's a reference to Back to the Future first and foremost. So when Doc is coming back for the future, put some garbage in the car, and then they fly to the future. So he said, Marty goes, Doc, there's not enough roads to go to 88, and then he goes, roads, where we're going, we don't need roads. And the reason why we're making that reference is exactly what you were saying: is if we knew the miracle solution, we would not be here talking about it and we wouldn't be in the situation we are right now. And if we're waiting for the miracle solution, we won't do anything and we don't have time to wait for that miracle solution to actually do something. So what we wanted to say is we don't need the roads to move forward. We don't need to wait for the roads to move forward. We just need to move step by step and act. That's why the action is very important. Let's just act. There's something one of our experts is saying a lot is the sustainable journey is a journey of progress, not perfection. Progress means step by step, right? And it can be baby step by baby step, but at least you're doing baby step. And I think that's what's important, and that's what's driving us as a firm. Now, if I go back to what we are, so We Don't Need Road is a strategic and operational consulting firm operating at global level. So we're a French originated firm, but we operate at global level. And what we do is we support companies, usually big corporations, in their sustainable journey. We position ourselves as sparring partner of the sustainable transformation. And we help them, as you said, we help our clients to turn commitments, strategies into actual and concrete actions. So we can write those strategies, we can write those SBTI trajectories and decarbonization strategies and CSR strategies and biodiversity strategies. We can work on CSRD, but at the end of the day, what's important for us is how all of this work is done to trigger action. And then it's a matter of roadmaps, it's a matter of innovative parks on the market, it's a matter of scaled projects that is actually having an impact. So that's what we try to do every day in the firm.
That's amazing. And I have to ask this question because we in a couple of weeks we will launch our Pricing for the Planet week, and the title is Sustainability: Where to Start and What to Do. And I think you are the perfect person to ask this question. So would love to have your answer actually.
You were saying it was weird for you, and it is actually revenge time, because usually I'm the one asking the question. Where should we start? Um, I mean, the tricky part of your question is who am I addressing? So if I'm addressing a citizen, where should I start? Is I would say start by understanding your footprint, and then be clear on where you would make a difference. And it can be very simple, and it's stupid, but we talk a lot about not taking planes. That's something people always talk a lot about. But potentially eating less meat is more efficient. potentially heating less your place will have more impact. So it's important to understand what are the different level of impacts and the sources of impacts you have as a citizen, to then have an action that's actually measurable and will make you proud of what you do. I think it's important as well to feel proud of what you do. Now, if I move to companies, what's interesting is we're getting to a time right now where companies are more and more asked to audit where they are. CSRD is a great example, right? Like the CSRD has been designed to encourage companies to do their audit of where they stand and what are the actual impact they have. And what's interesting is that exercise is helping them not only understand a holistic view of the impact, so it's not just carbon, which is usually the one that people are looking at, but it's across the whole, the different type of impacts you can have, biodiversity, water, etc., social as well. That's very important. But also helping them to prioritize what are the most important topics you should have in mind and you should act upon. So I think where should you start as a company, especially in 2024, is to really have a clear understanding of where you stand. It seems maybe stupid to say have an audit, but I would say given the complexity of the matter now, it's not just carbon anymore, it's broader than that. Having a clear understanding and updated understanding of where you stand would help you know in a very informed way where to start. And it, again, the same as citizen, it might not be where you think you should. So that's why I would say start by measuring. And yes, 2024 we still measure, but yes, please do. Please start by understanding your impact in a holistic vision. That's very important.
Super interesting. And I was looking at the list of like case study that you have. It's really impressive. I mean, you have L'Oreal, you have Starbucks, you have Nestle, you have Rimowa. It's all over the type of industries. So as a young entrepreneur, like how can you figure out where to start and what company to address first? And I think your imposter syndrome was interesting, like how when you just started We Don't Need Roads,
Yeah.
you went to Chanel, or you went to Kellogg's or Royal Canin, and said, hey, I can help you.
Two sides to that question. The first side is, as an entrepreneur, you figure it out every day on the journey. That's the truth. I mean, if I talk entrepreneur to entrepreneur, that's the truth. Is we're not God. We don't have the answer right away, and you start trying things against your ambition and desire. So when we started with We Don't Need Roads 4 years ago was not We Don't Need Roads as it is today, right?
Mm.
So we figured out and we refined who we need to talk to, versus our ambition, which was having an impact and accelerate the sustainable transformation of the business side of the world, so companies. So that's the first side of the answer. The second side is the other thing that happened is, usually when you start a company, especially when you start in the consulting world, usually start either with some clients, so you come with your clients, or you come with a network, right? And that's what happened for us. Is that we were coming with a network of people we knew from our previous lives, and we used to work in big corporations or for big corporations. And we're starting to think about what were the needs of those people and addressing those people that we knew. And we started like this. And this is how you start to address and get people to want to work with you. And then you do more cases, and the more cases you do, the more you can sign other clients. And the more you sign clients in the same typology of clients, then the more you're going to be relevant to sign with other clients of that typology. So it was a combination of the two things I just mentioned.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I have to admit, like being at Google is very useful for your network. So I think that's definitely, for sure, I'm sure it helped a lot.
Definitely, that was a big starting point, especially. I mean, if you want to talk about Google briefly, like when you work on the sales side and you have interactions with, for me, it was kind of a shortcut. I was coming from the agency world, and in about a matter of 4 years, the number of companies I managed to work with at global level, that's like 100 lives of someone working for the agency world. I always say I had the chance and honor to interact with potentially most of the big brands of the world, interact with them, understand their DNA, how they work, what they do, how they transform. I had the chance to see that, so yeah, then when you come out of that experience, the network is huge. But that being said, it's huge, but it doesn't mean it's that simple though.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah,
No, for
you have,
sure.
you have the contacts, but it doesn't mean they will answer you, and then it's a matter of aligning the planets, let's say.
No, for sure. Rita, one thing I would love to pick your brain on, it's so at Pricing for the Planet, we talk a lot about, like monetization and, the for us, the only way to really make the sustainable transformation a reality is by proving that you can make more money by being sustainable.
Mhm. Mm.
So what do you think about this statement? And, like, happy to disagree, huh? So feel free to be super open on this statement.
One, I would say I agree, but I would explain the why. Um, I think 2024, definitely there's been a change around the topic of sustainability, especially when it comes to the economic world. When we started the company 4 years ago, it was not the same. Sustainability was a very important topic. Everybody was starting to really talk about it, and it was obvious that we needed to work on it, right? But then think about the 4 years. 2024, 4 years ago, it was 2020. Think about COVID, think about the different conflicts in the world, think about where we are right now. And when it comes to a company, when you think about that level of pressure, then you start to think about other items that are as important, right? Because you need. It was interesting. I was watching an interview of someone called Leo Cohen. He used to work for the French government as part of the Trump ecological minister.
Okay.
And what was very interesting is he was discussing about some of the question he was having when it was coming to forbidden, for instance, glyphosate, right? Very interesting. And he was saying, when you come and you say you want to create a law around that topic, then you have other people around the table, someone that is at part of the economy minister, someone that is part of the agricultural minister. And there was the guy on the economy side saying, yeah, but if we do that, we're going to have companies, they will have to let 4,000 people go. Agriculture saying, yeah, but if we do that, we're going to have people on the ground. They won't be able to actually do their job in a qualitative way. It will be more complicated, and there will be investment to be done. So even though the sustainable transformation is kind of a obvious thing when it comes to even the survival of humanity to some extent, right?
Mhm.
There are other priorities that can come on top of it, that make us make the decision that we're making today. The reason why I'm telling that story is when you're a CEO of a company, you're making a decision based on different parameters. And when it comes to making money is not just about having a bigger salary. It's also about paying the salaries of the people that you have under your responsibility. And all of that combined means that you will have short-term vision, mid-term vision, long-term vision. And as long as sustainability is not linked to some economical parameters, it is often seen as a long-term decision, mid-term, long-term decision now, right? But it's still far away. And if you want to change now, you see the costs, you see the time of transformation, you see a lot of roadblocks rather than solutions, and you don't see the return on investment, right? So we need to connect the sustainable transformation with economical benefit, and that's something we do a lot at Winnow Roads. We for us, we say we're making ecology rhyme with economy. There's something we have in our methodology. We call it the redesign thinking, because we all come from design thinking, and design thinking has three principles: viability, feasibility, desirability. Right? When you design something with design thinking, those are the three things you think about. Those are very economical drivers. Desirability means people will want to buy it. Feasibility means it's actually operational on the ground, and viability means economical viability, right? And what we add to that design thinking that we call redesign thinking is sustainability. And we precise sustainability means for us impactless. So what we're going to design is going to have as less impact as possible, plural, not just carbon, holistic impact, and purposeful, also bringing positive impact in the mix. So less negative impact, more positive impact. And then with that compass, you do have the combination of the economical value. It needs to be viable, it needs to be desirable. So it will drive sales, it will drive reputation, It will drive growth maybe as well, right? But on the other hand, it's designed to be sustainable, to really think about planetary boundaries, to think about creating a company that's resilient. So we need to do that. If we don't do that, and it's not just economy, by the way, it's broader level society, because we are a capitalistic society.
Mm.
And I always say, I'm only Reza, founder and managing partner with Donate Roads. I'm not like the big guy at BCG, or I'm not the government. I don't have the power to change the way the world is functioning. But what I can do is influence at my level the way the world is transforming to function in a better way. So I need to play with the capitalistic rules of the game, because they are the rules of the game now. So we need for people to change and to do the change the same way they did the change when it was coming to the digital revolution, still coming with the digital revolution now with AI. But we need to make them understand that they will have a return on investment. Otherwise, they won't do it.
No, for sure. I love this concept of redesign thinking. You should pattern that, by the way.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I will work on that.
And so one question, because I've seen you have a bunch of like case studies. What is the kind of like typical project that you are doing? You know, kind of like your 80/20. What is the like kind of the bread and butter of we don't need roads?
I wouldn't say 80/20. What I would say is there will be a way to explain what we do is we have first and foremost a 50-50 between working on adaptation of business as usual
Okay.
on one side, and then 50 on rewiring the way we do business. So more of the innovative side of our business, right? So if I take the first 50, adapting the way we do business, this is where you have decarbonization strategy, SBTS trajectories, LCAs and carbon footprint trajectories, biodiversity footprints, also regulation, CSRD as a way to transform CSR strategy. So you have all of that, strategic materials as well. So how do you think about optimizing the way business as we do it today is functioning in order to respect more the planetary boundaries? That's kind of like 50% of our operation. The other 50% is more about rewiring the way we do business to really create resilient businesses, resilient companies. And in that, you have first and foremost everything around circularity, because circularity is now one of the most mature rewiring journey, rewiring way, and actually rewiring ways. Because when you think about circularity, it's different ways forward. Usually, people, when they think about circularity, they think about reuse or refill, and sometimes they also think about eco design. But I see a lot of occurrences where people think about, oh yeah, I need help on eco design and circularity, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, so circularity is a big part of what we do. And then figuring out other ways to rethink the way we do business. You can explore integration of AI, for instance, in the way we transform our way of functioning. You can also go into what does regenerative economy means, what does sober economy means. We can go as far as that to really understand new ways of doing business, new ways of creating products, of creating services, of attracting as consumers, of functioning as an organization as well. So all of that is part of our rewiring parts of our firm.
I love that. And you know, big question, like if in the audience anyone wants to work with you, like, you know, where can they go? What, you know, how is it working?
Easy. There's a contact form on the website, or the address is hello@wedon'tneedroads.io.
Perfect.
As simple as that.
And in terms of needs, because I think in the audience we have a lot of people coming from mostly like B2B
Yeah.
manufacturing world,
Yeah.
what would be the typical needs that you would see emerging from your client base?
I mean, that's a very interesting question. I think there are contextual needs. Like we see a lot of, especially manufacturing, B2B, a lot of big or mid-sized companies in there. So they usually come and they are either clear or they start to realize that CSRD is going to become a topic. So that's one of the big needs we see, of course. And what's interesting in there is CSRD is still a method, a process that is in the refining. It's created as we speak, and coming with an actor that have a strong expertise is important. I would take the opportunity here to say sometimes I see a lot of companies thinking they can do it on their own. I would say be careful with that because it's an auditable exercise. So it needs a certain level of expertise, and also it's a big exercise, so it can disrupt your organization if you do it on your own. But yeah, so CSRD is one of the topic. And then when you think about manufacturing, I think um, everything around the supply chain is very important, right? In manufacturing, and one of the things we do a lot on the manufacturing side is helping our clients to think about their strategic material strategy. So it's kind of sitting between supply chain and circularity, if I can say that way, because we know that resources are becoming more and more complex to manage in the world, the way it's changing. So helping our clients to really have full control and full understanding of their strategic materials. What does it mean on for their company when it comes to impact, but also when it comes to business, with the world changing and evolving, and how do you go from control to monitoring and then to alternative strategies to make sure that your business is resilient as well on that matter. So we see a lot of that when it comes to manufacturing. And also the last one I would say is circularity is a big topic as well, because manufacturing is either exploring for quite some time and having some difficulties to scale the circular models, or they start to think about what is relevant for us when it comes to circularity. And this is where discussing with us is interesting when it comes to the way we're approaching circularity more in a holistic way. What we call it is circular ability. We help people to assess their circular ability, and our methodology is really helping companies to take a step back, look at the different dimensions of circularity, and really understand what is the relevant way, or what are the relevant ways forward for you specifically as a company. So those are kind of the three main topics I would say are kind of coming. The one is coming. Last thing, the one is coming more and more on the manufacturing side. It's also a regulation one. Is everything that is connected to the CSDDD.
Oh yeah.
So
Due
everything
diligence.
around transparency, traceability, and also product passport potentially, which is very much linked to manufacturing, being able to provide transparency and control on what is inside the product. So the product passport is also a big conversation, a big thing we're having for manufacturing companies.
Perfect, Riza. Thank you so much. It's really interesting. Maybe last thing I think for the audience, if you are not ready to start your own company, but if you want to join a company, I was checking your website and you have some like job open. So feel free to go on we don't need roads.io and check the job post. Again, Riza, thank you so much. Thank you for what you are doing. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
And hope to have the opportunity to do another podcast episode with you later on.
That would be a pleasure. I would love to share more insights. Thanks for having me, Fabien. It was an amazing conversation.
Perfect. And you know the drill for pricing for the planet. You can, we have a free newsletter. It's called the Biweekly Digest. You can go on our website, www.pricingfortheplanet.com, and register and check our next event. I will add read the LinkedIn as well in the description. So if you want to follow all the great stuff that Rida is publishing, be my guest. All right. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys.